Hey, what is going on, freedom fighters? Welcome back to another Tyranny Response Tuesday here on Break the Chains Media. Wow. Today is Tuesday, December 16th, 2025, and I am fighting a little bit of like a head cold, a little bit of a coffee hacky noise, so forgive me if I'm a little too raspy or get a little coffee. I'm not sick. I try to use the power of intent, power of good thoughts in my cold season battles and making sure, I'm actually not sick at all. Like, all of this doesn't really matter. I'm just going to keep focusing on eyes on the prize, nose on the grindstone. That is what I do to fight my colds. But I might also dose up on some vitamin C and D and zinc and all the other things. But that's neither here nor there. So just forewarning, I might have a little coffee hacky fits. But it's okay because I'm still feeling good because the fight for freedom is never over. And we always have to continue the fight against tyranny. And right now here in Colorado, we've got a lot of tyranny happening in the Mile High City, in the Centennial State, as it were. 500,000 homes are about to be turned off of power due to safety concerns, due to high winds. That is slated to happen tomorrow. So if you are in the Denver metro, the eastern corridor, like it's kind of, we'll pull up the map, but it's pretty much all the Denver metro. You got some parts out in Arapahoe, some stuff up north, and it looks to be that Xcel is going to be turning off hundreds of thousands of homes, because they do not want another Marshall Fire type incident with these high winds. But while that might sound altruistic, that might sound like it's an important and intentional thing to do, there is some nefarious backdoor deals, some slimy, greasy palms being greased up there, and some money's being passed around in the back doors of these power companies and politicians, and trying to sequester the citizens into an all-electric electrification system, trying to shut off natural gas. The whole PUC commission we talked about a couple weeks ago, but there's lots of movement happening in the power sector here in Colorado, and I just believe that this preemptive public utility safety power turnoff is another means to show to the public that you need to spend more money, because if you don't give us more money, we're not going to be able to defend ourselves against these dangerous situations. And you don't want to live without power, right? You don't want to live without power. You don't want to, God forbid. So if you don't want to turn off power anymore, you better give us more money. They're trying to validate their decision making on this green new scam, on this electrification grid system to turn off. We'll get into all of it, but so that's the first half of the video. The second half of this live stream, explosive whistleblower information, and I think this needs to be a national story. This is actually shocking to see. It's shocking that it's being addressed in such a way. It's not shocking that the Colorado state government is still doing these practices. So my good friend Rich Guggenheim from Escaping the Rainbow Plantation sent me an article, his personal, he is the whistleblower in this expose. He works with the Colorado Department of Agriculture, and they are continuing to use DEI practices in violation of federal law. And we're going to get into all of that. We're going to get into the minutia, the nitty gritty on what Rich had to deal with on the board and in his capacity as a person who wants to have effective and honest government state operations. But if they're continuing to use the DEI practice, and it's funny because they actually don't even call it DEI, they call it EDI. And this is one of the tactics that they use, not just in Colorado, but across the country. Rather than calling it what it is, what it always has been, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, they rebrand it, they relabel it, they rename it so that they can skirt around these laws, or at least in their own mind, they think they're skirting around the laws. But we are going to get into all of that here today, and I've got some clips from Rich and Brandon from Free State, Colorado. Excellent video. We are going to share that link once this live stream is done. I've got some articles here as well. But if this is the first time joining Break the Chains Media, smash that thumbs up button. Give me a follow. Give me a share. Give me a subscribe. bring this community together, because we all got to be chain breakers here, just like Rich Guggenheim is doing. We all got to break these chains of tyranny and break these chains of conformity and how the government manipulates and weaponizes the system and the state against its citizens. So, Rich Guggenheim, you are a chain breaker. We are part of the chain gang. But if you want to be a part of it, you got to hit that follow button. You got to share this video with all your friends and family. Go check out breakthechains.media. That is the website. Breakthechains.media is a landing page. All my socials are here. If you want to find me on Facebook, Instagram, you name it, it's all there. But most importantly, you got to check out Realm Walker Hot Sauce. If you want a bottle of hot sauce for Christmas, this is the bottle of hot sauce for Christmas for all your friends and family. If you like mild to extreme heat, Realm Walker Hot Sauce. Travel the 9 realms of Norse mythology. Right now, I'm literally going to be bottling this up as soon as my live stream is over. But we've got Niflheim, jalapeno, tomatillo, cilantro, lime. We've got Midgard, which is Serrano, tomatillo, lime. An excellent, like, middle-of-the-road, kind of green Tabasco-style hot sauce, but way better than Tabasco. And then we also have Ragnarok, which is smoked chocolate, super hot peppers, apocalypse peppers, and green chili. It's like a smoky, spicy Chipotle style, but it's on par with like a number 9 level of heat. So it's super good. And you got Muspelheim, the traditional buffalo, super hot buffalo sauce, roasted red pepper, fantastic. If you are interested in picking up a bottle of Realm Walker Hot Sauce, you can follow Realm Walker Hot Sauce on Instagram or reach out to me, Break the Chains M on X, or Break the Chains Media on any of the social media platforms. But you get yourself a bottle. And then don't forget, we got to hit up the chainsaw caucus. Rev up them chainsaws. Rev them up, because if you want to cut through political bureaucracy, bloat, and corruption, if you want to make sure your financial tax dollars are being appropriated effectively, just like Rich is doing, you got to be a part of Chainsaw Caucus. It's a nationally recognized 527 pack, and making sure that our elected officials are going to be fiscally responsible, cutting through the bureaucracy, bloat, and corruption of government. Inspired by the Afuera movement. In the link below, in the description of this live stream, click on that link, become an affiliate member, use my affiliate member link. $10 a month gets you a part of Chainsaw Caucus, and it supports Break the Chains Media. But let's get into it, folks. So, a lot of stuff was happening today, right? You know, I wake up, you know, and I could be talking about the gun situation that's happening in Australia, or the Brown University shooting. We're reading articles about COVID shots actually harming children. We all knew this, right? We all knew this. But how is everyone feeling on this Tyranny Response Tuesday? Xcel is to turn off power for 500,000 people in Colorado. COVID shots proven to kill children. Expanding gun control for places that already have them outlawed. Times look bleak, folks, but fight for freedom persists. So this picture summarizes that pretty well. Eat a bag of dicks, you bunch of dirty fucking communists. I mean, honestly, that's what they're doing. That's what we're fighting against, folks. And it's a fantastic photo. So you can see all this kind of shit posting on my Twitter feed. We're gonna get into this in the second half of the live stream, but I wanted to start with this. Folks, this is the map. This here is the map from Bouldercast Weather. We're talking about 500,000 residents of Colorado to be outlawed. Well, excuse me. There's about 500,000 residents in Colorado that Xcel Energy will be turning off their power in response to a high wind warning. And for all my native Coloradans or people who've lived here for multiple years, we all remember the Marshall Fire. Very tragic. I mean, devastated Superior, Longmont, you know, Louisville, and all that 36 corridor. Absolutely devastating. And I do not want to see that. We don't want to see that type of tragedy happen. So when you have a power company who is partially responsible for what happened there, and we can argue there are still some people out there that are adamantly opposed to the fact that Xcel Energy was the cause of blame for the Marshall Fire. Well, there was video literally showing power lines being pulled and shorted and sparks flying. I remember the video. I remember seeing it. But in response to the high wind warning, they are going to be turning off power for everyone inside the dotted lines here. Excuse me. It's that cough getting me. But folks, so everyone within these dotted line area, we're talking Lafayette, Superior, Boulder, like pretty much all of Boulder County into the mountains, Arvada, Westminster, a lot of North Jeffco here, down all the way down to Bear Creek. And then you got Arapahoe County down here, out in the east. and then up just north of Keensburg. But there's over 500,000 potential power users of Xcel here in Colorado. The power will be turned off, and they said that's gonna be around noon on Wednesday the 17th. So we will see, based on the weather, based on the situation that's at hand. This is from bouldercast.com. Colorado forecast update. Damaging winds and near critical fire danger for the Front Range on Wednesday. Planned Xcel power shutdowns are highly likely. What you need to know. Tuesday stays mild, damaging downslope windstorm on Wednesday. Gusts of 50 to 85 miles an hour. So this is going to be a very high windstorm. But folks, I mean, for anyone who's lived here, we've dealt with high winds for many, many years here, and it happens. It does happen a lot through the winter. And don't get me wrong, I do not want to see fire damage. I do not want to see this type of electrical catastrophe potential to take place again. So I'm a mixed bag on it, but what it comes back down to is the power monopoly that Xcel holds on the residents of Colorado, the power infrastructure that Xcel holds dangling over our heads, saying, you got no other option. You're just going to be stuck without power for up to 12 hours, depending on the weather. Rolling brownouts is looming in the future. If Xcel continues to get its way through the Public Utilities Commission, if these politicians continue to network and grease the palms of these energy companies, we are going to see this be a common occurrence for any type of reason. Oh, it's too hot. Oh, the infrastructure's too burdened because we have too many electric cars charging, or the air conditioning units are creating a burden on our power grid. Like, do you see how this can be a slippery slope into a technocratic tyranny of monopoly of power? I mean, I stumbled over that. Well, holy shit, but you understand. So the likely power shutoffs, Xcel will most certainly cut electricity to Boulder, Jefferson counties Wednesday to reduce the wildfire risk. Other counties are likely to see cuts too. Outages could last well beyond the wind effect itself. They don't want to. They're going to continue saying they don't want to repeat of the Marshall Fire, and I don't blame them. Cold front arrives Wednesday evening. So ironically, they're cutting off power the same day the cold front arrives. What happens to these old folks? What happens to these people? Imagine this, folks. If you guys were part of the live stream last week or a week ago, I talked about the 100% electrification that Xcel wants to implement here in Colorado. They want to get rid of natural gas. What happens when everything's electrified and everything is based on electric transmission lines, and they do this kind of stuff when there's an electric, and they do this kind of stuff when an entire grid is built on electrification and no natural gas? What happens then? How are you supposed to heat your homes then? This is a pivotal point, and they're using the guise of for your own safety. They're using the ruse that it's for your own good, it's for your own safety. And folks, don't get it twisted. I don't want to see a repeat of the Marshall Fire. I do not want, but here's the thing. We are misdirecting the problem, and they're trying to direct the problem on, we just got to turn everything off. Well, weren't they just talking about, Xcel was talking about raising rates 10% annually until 2030 to 2031, up to 50% additional rate increase to build out the infrastructure here in Colorado. They want to build out the infrastructure here in Colorado, and yet they subjugate the citizens by turning off power because they don't want to see a repeat of a fire or some sort of other disaster. So you tell me what the proper remedy for this problem is. Turning off power and making us essentially helpless to the whims of a monopoly power company? Or do we need to find alternative solutions and localized solutions and innovate technology that can actually promote and produce power in a micro scale rather than a macro scale, right? Stop the monopoly of power. That is what we need to address. So let's go from this is the Boulder Office of Disaster Management. Let's take a listen here on what they are warning us about. Let's take a listen.
Vinny Montez, Office of Disaster Management here in Boulder, here with Monica Weber. Want to let you know about an anticipated public safety power shutoff that's been announced by Xcel Energy. One of the things you need to be aware of is this has been scheduled right now, as we know it, to be starting on Wednesday, December 17th at approximately 12 noon. What can you do to prepare for that? Monica, can you walk us through that?
Yeah, a couple of things that you can do right now to make sure that you're prepared for a public safety power shutoff. The first one being charge up devices now. So if you've got cell phones, medical equipment, anything that needs a charge, get it fully charged today or tomorrow. Also thinking about vehicles. If you have an electric powered vehicle, get that charged up, or even regular fueled vehicles, get those fueled up as well. In relation to power things, also in a power shutoff, knowing how to open up your garage is something helpful if you needed to get out for an evacuation or anything else. There's a red pull tab in your garage that allows you to manually lift the door.
You're talking about
non-perishable food, so food that you don't have to cook or refrigerate and still safely consume in the store. Having water, especially if you're on a well system, at least 1 gallon per person or small animal per day. And then also if you're someone that's dependent on power, you need it for medical devices, medication storage, whatever that might be, plan ahead with family and friends that live outside of the outage area so that you can stay with them and have that just extra layer of safety, or have a backup power device, whether that's a generator, battery powered, or gasoline powered. If it's gas powered, just make sure it's not in your home because we don't want carbon monoxide poisoning happening. And those are some tips that you can check out. There's more on our website as well, boulderodm.gov, on our hot topics page, which is a banner right across the middle of the homepage, or top of the homepage, I should say.
This is, folks, this is just frog in the pot. This is just normalizing power companies and the whims of these tyrannical institutions holding their power over us, and we are subject to their whims. I personally think this is ridiculous. This is all for public safety, all for public good, folks. But there are solutions that don't allow for the power to be turned off. We have to innovate our solutions. We have to innovate. So let's take a look here. Let me wrap up this video here. Let's see what else.
If you want to get a map currently of what's slated to be
power outage
in the
we don't need to go over that. But yes, this is what we need to be discussing, folks. If we're talking about Xcel turning power off for 500,000 residents in Colorado, but yet this is an article from August of 26, 2025, talking about infrastructure build out for big data centers. Their priorities are being mismanaged, folks. Their priorities are not for the residents of Colorado. Their priorities are for big data and big tech. Let's take a read. Let's take a listen. Xcel Energy wants you to pay for infrastructure build-outs for big data centers. In a special legislative session in Colorado, Governor Jared Polis addressed an $800 million budget hole caused by President Trump's big, beautiful bill, whatever. That's nearing conclusion. But most of the focus now is centered around how to move forward on a second issue related to delaying the implementation of new state regulations on artificial intelligence. The debate may be a preview on how AI policy could dominate discussions at the state capitol in the next legislative session, which begins in January. That's going to be, y'all want to have some fun? You want to see some fireworks? You better join me at the next legislative session, because I will be there any day I can starting in January to call out these tyrants that are going to try to monopolize, and they're trying to push more Marxist agenda legislation on us. Oh, it's going to be wild. It's going to be good. So you better smash that thumbs up button and follow this channel for all those updates. But let's keep going. As companies compete to become its first launch to Skynet, the discussion about AI quickly becomes more about guidelines related to ethics and data privacy. The immense data needed for a functional AI system that does more than just produce weird internet graphics are a problem of their own. AI data centers require massive amounts of energy and water for keeping its exhausted systems cool. And so far, the proposals from these responsible meeting those energy needs has been to ask the public consumers like you and like me to pay for this infrastructure build out. We're going to be the ones footing the bill for these data centers to pull and draw exorbitant amounts of energy and strain the power grid. So you tell me what their interests really are when they're talking about power shutoffs because of danger, because of fire hazard, because of high winds, because of electronic appliances, because of the strain on the power infrastructure, between the strain on the power grid here in Colorado. Meanwhile, they're trying to build out for data centers. Xcel Energy customers are facing the risk of their electricity rates doubling or even tripling as the company launches an unprecedented spending plan to build new generation and transmission to feed power-hungry data centers. This is something that we have to connect the dots here, folks. They're making us pay more money to build out infrastructure, to build data centers here. Meanwhile, they're making us turning off power for us in times of quote unquote crisis. And then they lower the threshold on what it means to have a power crisis. Oh, it's too hot. Oh, it's too cold. Oh, the wind. Oh, you name it. They're going to use it to subjugate the citizens. The company, the state's largest electricity power with 1.6 million customers, is set to invest $22.3 billion in Colorado by 2032. That's more than in any of the 7 other states which it operates. The investments will raise electric assets in the state, the so-called rate based upon which rates are set, from an $8 billion in 2021 to $36 billion in 2029, and more than $44 billion by 2032, according to company filings. And we got a quote here from someone. I can't get comfortable approving anything like the level of resource need and investment the company is seeking, Colorado Public Utilities Commission Chair Eric Blank said in a meeting earlier this month. That just seems like an enormous increase. Absolutely, it is an enormous increase. And they're making us pay for it. While saying the rate disparity was an optical concern, Jake Ihill, Xcel Energy's regional vice president for regulatory policy, explained under questioning by Blank that there are exclusively customer-focused investments, such as a $5 billion upgrade to the distribution system. Xcel may be underestimating the rate impact even with its own model, according to the environmental and clean energy organizations, Western Resource Advocates, and the Southwest Energy Efficiency Project. In a PUC filing, the group said that using the company's long-term rate forecast model, they calculated could increase by 2030 run by 50%. So you want to see they're going to make us pay more, an additional 50% more by 2031. Meanwhile, we got to deal with power outages because they don't want to cause fires. I think they need to reestablish and redirect their infrastructure building, and they make sure instead of building data centers, they need to be hardening our power lines. They need to be hardening and safeguarding how power is transmitted in our states, rather than just saying we're just going to turn it off for 500,000 people. Do you see where I'm going with this? So folks, these people have ulterior motives when it comes to their power energy proposal plans. The PUC, full electrification, removal of natural gas, all of it comes back down to sequestering power and monopolizing the system in which that we are stuck and we are beholden to. We have no other option. Our only other option is to move. And I don't want to move because these people are corrupt tyrants that they're controlling and manipulating our agenda. Gandalf, what do you got to say about the Xcel Energy bullshit?
You shall not pass!
I absolutely agree, Gandalf. Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. So, folks, be wary, be alert. Wednesday, it's going to be an interesting day. So, make sure you do stock up, get some flashlights, make sure you have adequate water. Make sure you are prepared because anything like this, crisis can come at any time. And unfortunately, we're dealing with a crisis built of their own institution, right? But let's go to the second half of this live stream, folks. Make sure you smash that like button, be a part of the Break the Chains Media Chainbreaker gang, right? Let's get into it. We got big stuff. Rich Guggenheim. I gotta clear my throat. Where are we at here, folks? Where are we at here? All right. Colorado whistleblower Rich Guggenheim, handle is escaping TRP, escaping the Rainbow Plantation. Wrote a great book about the LGBTIQ LMNOP movement and how they have been co-opted. They've been taken over. He's a great freedom fighter. He speaks a lot of truth, and he doesn't pull his punches, folks. He's a legend. So he's doing good work, and this particularly addresses what's happening in the Colorado Department of Agriculture. So let's read into it here. Colorado whistleblower Rich Guggenheim calls out DEI practices in the state's Department of Agriculture, which defies current federal law. He then submitted the violation to Attorney General Pam Bondi. That same day, he was put under a workplace investigation at the Colorado Department of Agriculture. So let's take a look at the article. From the Rocky Mountain Voice. Caught between two governments. Whistleblower says Colorado DEI system collides with federal ban. When managers in the Colorado Department of Agriculture, CDA, logged into November 6th virtual meeting, the agenda read like a standard operational update, but on the list sat two items that created angst. The statewide EDI Colorado all report due in December and the launch of a 2026 inclusive leadership cohort. So we're talking about EDI. What is EDI? Oh my gosh. So Colorado, as well as many other states, have rebranded what DEI is. DEI is diversity, equity, and inclusion. If you're not aware, right? But now Colorado is calling it EDI, equity, diversion, equity, diversion, and inclusivity, right? I don't know. I'm stumbling, right? What's up, Sick of Shitty Gov? What is up? You get a treasure chest. Let's go. Let's go. Cheers. Cheers. Thanks for being here. We're talking about we're talking about a federal whistleblower. Excuse me. We're talking about a whistleblower here in the state of Colorado, talking about how Colorado is still implementing DEI policies here in defiance of federal law. So let's keep going here. Rich Guggenheim, the program manager who oversees plant certification inspections for Colorado nurseries and seed industries, signs off on several USDA pest survey grants. When inclusive leadership came up, he typed a short assessment into the chat. DEI on steroids. Diversion director Wanderad Jebru stopped the meeting and labeled the comment as inappropriate. Guggenheim pushed back and Jebru responded on camera, "Good, it's on record that you don't care," before ordering him to mute his mic. Guggenheim said that the way it unfolded left little doubt about the intent behind it all. All of these state program managers saw my boss retaliate against me in real time for bringing up my concerns and silencing me, he said. He absolutely meant it to be humiliating. Guggenheim also sent Gebru a private message during the meeting, signaling that he had already raised the issue with federal authorities and would not retreat simply because his comment was unwelcome. He said that the exchange captured the deeper rift of how far the department would go in enforcing its DEI agenda. And then he's got the message here. This is a message from Guggenheim to his higher up. "You know, I have Pam Bondi and President Trump's cell phone numbers. I am absolutely not afraid to call them and give them this information, and CDA pushing it and seeing federal funds to CDA to get shut off. If you want me to shut up and admit to engaging in viewpoints discrimination because I'm calling out the truth and tell me it is inappropriate, I will not hesitate to get the feds involved. Viewpoint discrimination is exactly why I have my federal lawsuit against the legislature. Don't think I won't sue CDA either. I've already sent the text message to Pam Bondi and I'm not going to play this DEI game. And you completely showed what a farce this is. Inclusive leadership." The inclusive leadership meeting, okay? Earlier that month, employees discussed the threats to staff safety. A colleague described having a gun pulled on her during an inspection and questioned whether the department took field risks seriously. The reaction from leadership was telling. Hollis Glenn was literally checking his watch while she was talking, Guggenheim said. The employee resigned a week later because she felt unsupported in that environment. This is blatant discrimination. This is blatant disrespect within the Colorado Department of Agriculture. Guggenheim said that the moment revealed an irony at the heart of the department's culture. The same system that demands inclusion across identity categories neglected to offer guidance and minimized a direct threat to an employee's life while elevating a policy agenda off limits for federal agencies and their grants. And I've got this page pulled up here. Governor's Office of Information Technology fiscal year 2026 EDI plan describes inclusive leadership, microlearning, rotating coach topics, and cultural humility sessions, allyship workshops, and demographic-based employee groups all positioned as recurring parts of agency culture. It defines EDI as creating, quote, an even playing field for everyone, and lists systemic change among its core principles, illustrating how deeply equity works and has been woven into statewide strategy. Folks, this is a blatant disregard for federal law. And I've got the executive order pulled up right now, and how the Trump administration has implemented to disband and end all DEI practices. And this here is on the government's website, the government of Colorado's website. Colorado Governor's Office of Information Technology. Equity, diversity, and inclusion. What is EDI? Equity, diversity, and inclusion is about creating an even playing field for everyone. Some may think it's at a zero-sum game, meaning that there are not enough resources to go around. In reality, EDI is about examining the challenges faced by specific groups and designing environments, products, and services that work better for everyone. Wow. So altruistic, so good meaning, so well-meaning, right? The biggest thing that this comes out of, and this is a big reason why Rich is blowing the whistle on this right now, is because Colorado receives government grants. The Colorado Department of Agriculture receives government grants, and if the Colorado Department of Agriculture is still implementing DEI practices that have been outlawed on a federal level, well, I guess they shouldn't be getting federal grant money then, huh? Sick of Shitty Gov says, no property taxes or any other state taxes that matter should have to be paid until states are investigated and cleared as compliant with federal law. Absolutely. Fucking bingo. Yes. Couldn't agree more. Shouldn't have taxes anyways, but I guess GPA was right when he said that the constant in life are you have to pay taxes and you die. Yeah, I mean, no, and I don't like the talking point of we live in a civilized society, therefore you have to pay taxes. Folks, I believe that the state needs to prove to the citizen specifically where their money is going and how it is directly benefiting their lives. If your tax money is being pulled for X, Y, and Z, I want that tax money to specifically go to X, Y, and Z, not A, B, C, or for this instance, DEI or EDI as they put it, right? So we want to make sure that our tax money is being appropriated in the right ways. And specifically, in addition to that, federal grant money is being appropriated to the right companies and the right government institutions for the right reasons. If federal grant money is being taken in to the states, but the states are denying and refusing to acknowledge federal law, they should not have the money. Yes, I agree with you, Sick of Shitty Gov. I hate taxes and the government. It's hard to determine which one I hate more, taxes or government. Probably both, right? The EDI tenets of the North Star for OIT's EDI work: dignity, empathy, humanity, connection, systemic change, courage, lifelong learning. Ugh. Ugh. It sounds like an absolute leftist dribble. Leftist, progressive, cultural Marxist dribble. We have to use all these fancy, cutesy words to determine how we're actually going to legislate and how we're actually going to govern in our state. Fuck off with all that. Absolute bullshit. Look at all these EDI action alliances. Check this out. This is what really blew my mind, right? The EDI Action Alliance. We have a robust group of employees who are passionate about taking steps to institutionalize EDI work at the OIT. The group includes subcommittees focused on internal workplace culture and training. Among many projects, they are responsible for analyzing employee engagement data by demographics to understand how people experience differ, and hosting quarterly webinars on a variety of EDI topics. Check out the team charter. You've got the avid employee at OIT. You've got BIPOC at OIT. Global connections at OIT. What does that look like, folks? That looks like the World Economic Forum logo. If I were to just, at a glance, see all the rainbow. Look at this rainbow butthole badge. It's another rainbow butthole badge, folks. Pride at OIT. Speaking of rainbows, veterans at OIT, women at OIT, but there's no men. No men here. Can't have men because men are bad, right? Because white men are the devil. White men are the devil. You have to make sure that everyone else is included except the white men who have founded Western society, who founded the forms of government in which we use today. But why the white men are bad, right? Bullshit. Spare me. It's not even about white men. Honestly, I mean, like, I'm just showing an example, but this is the kind of shit that Rich is fighting against. This is in the government paper. This is on government website in Colorado, and Rich is fighting against it, folks. I highly recommend checking out Rich Guggenheim. I've got it right here. His handle is Escaping TRP. Follow Rich Guggenheim right now, Escaping TRP, and he's got all the information. He's got a whole bunch. He's doing great work in his fullest capacity here in Colorado. So let's keep reading. Let's keep reading. I'll get to you in just I see you there, Sick of Shitty Gov, in just a second. Let's keep going. I am recording, so we got to keep rolling. State job announcements reinforce the structure. Multiple CDA postings state that equity, diversity, and inclusion drive state success, signaling that EDI is now a hiring expectation. From the state of Colorado, pesticides applicator, administrator, assistant. Okay? For Guggenheim, those weren't neutral, required to participate in them after prior discipline. He said training content crosses ideological lines. Quote, it's insulting and it's offensive as a gay man to constantly be told in these trainings that you're supposed to be victim, marginalized, oppressed, and you're going to be used as a political football. I'm not going to play into that. That's from Rich. He doesn't want to be marginalized as a special minority group, right? He said that in 2024, he had been placed on a performance plan that required DEI and inclusive leadership courses after making personal expos about, quote, a man in a dress and a woman's bathroom at work, and writing that he wouldn't feel comfortable hiring a trans person because of this. Guggenheim's a fucking legend, dude. He's awesome. Guggenheim described as the disciplinary training as re-education and indoctrination into gender ideology, race, white guilt, class postmodern Marxist ideology. He is a fighter against Marxist ideology. Cultural Marxism has taken over all branches of Colorado government, and it's absolutely disgusting. Salty Grower, what is going on? Appreciate you stopping in. Got a treasure chest for you there. Appreciate you. Colorado's DEI expansion runs parallel to a sweeping federal prohibition. President Trump's Executive Order 14151, issued January, directs federal agencies and grantees to eliminate all DEI programs under whatever name they appear. See how they cover that? Whether you rename it, rebrand it, circumvent the, quote, DEI term, we all know what you're talking about here. Explicitly forbidding the relabeling or embedding of DEI content in other training formats. I mean, it's plain as day, folks. Anyone with eyes to see can see that this is a violation of federal law. And I've got the executive order right here. Recent executive actions on diversity, equity, and inclusion. From January 2025, it says it all right here, plain as day. Okay? Executive Order 14151 states that the Biden administration's forced illegal and immoral discrimination programs going by the name Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion into virtually all aspects of the federal government in areas ranging from airline safety to the military. Further, it states that executive agencies' issuance of equity action plans pursuant to EO 13985 and other Biden administration initiatives demonstrated as immense public waste and shameful discrimination. President Trump issued an executive order 14151 titled Ending Radical and Wasteful Government DEI Programs and Preferencing on January 20th, 2025. This EO seeks to end diversity, equity, and inclusion in DEI programs, which are sometimes referred to as diversity, equity, and inclusion throughout the federal government. President Trump issued an additional executive order titled Ending All Illegal Discrimination and Restoring Merit-Based Opportunity, which, among other things, revokes numerous DEI-related executive orders issued by previous administrations. Folks, this is the fight. Okay? Talking about, it says right here, terminating all DEI, DEIA, and environmental justice offices and positions, all equity action plans, equity actions, initiatives, or programs, equity-related grants or contracts, and all DEI or DEIA performance requirements for employees, contractors, or grantees. I mean, it's plain as day right there, and Rich is doing an excellent job keeping it going. So I've got a couple of clips here that I wanted to show. This is from, this here's Rich Guggenheim. Awesome dude. And Brandon Wark. They're both two awesome guys, crushing it on the Colorado scene. Brandon's from Free State, Colorado, and Rich Guggenheim's from, Escaping the Rainbow Plantation. Let's take a listen to this video. It's a 22-minute video. I will post the entire thing, but we're just going to listen to a couple clips from this video right now. So let's take a listen.
So we muted it, and then we continued on with the meeting. And then later on, I sent him a private chat message, and I said, just so you know, I have contact information for Pam Bondi and the Attorney General's office. And I, that day, sent a letter to Pam Bondi at the U.S. Department of Justice with the meeting agenda, 3 job announcements that we posted that day that have DEI statements in the job announcements, and a few other pieces of information relating to evidence that showed that we are continuing to push DEI in violation of President Trump's executive order.
Boom. Boom. That's fucking, I mean, that's plain as day. I've got another clip I want to show you here. Where is it at? We are at, what is it, 7:30. Let's take a listen here.
You have to understand one thing about this. This is going on in every department within the state of Colorado. And the Colorado Department of agriculture as a whole tends to be more conservative. So there are a lot of people who agree with me, but one of the problems that we also face at the Department of Agriculture is that it is a very hostile work environment. And as you can see, what they're doing in this situation by calling me out in the meeting and then putting me on an investigation in front of all of my peers in an effort to terminate my employment is a chilling effect. They want to silence anybody, and they want to make everybody who thinks differently afraid to speak out about it. And one of the cases that we have about this was in the same meeting. We are talking about, we just had a retreat for our division, and we had employees who had received death threats, and an employee that had a gun pulled on her.
Yeah,
and she was sharing her experience about having a gun pulled on her in front of the Deputy Commissioner of Agriculture, Hollis Glenn. And he was literally checking his watch in the meeting. His
total disrespect, total disregard, and the fact that they continue to push this agenda is an example of how the government does not care about you, and particularly the Colorado state government is completely ignoring federal law and federal regulations. So Rich Guggenheim is doing exactly what he needs to do. Him speaking up about this is necessary. Rich speaking out about this DEI practice still going on in Colorado is absolutely necessary. And if he didn't, he'd be accomplice to Colorado State breaking federal law. So he's doing exactly what he needs to do. Let's keep going on. I've got another clip here. Where is it at? Right here-ish.
Their checks. They're going to focus on paying their mortgage and not being vocal about what they're seeing. I mean, what was it that really pushed you to become a whistleblower, to speak out?
Well, absolutely. It is something like you have to realize that you're going to risk your job speaking out about this. Well, one of the things that we also have to understand is if this gets out there by some other means, and they're going to do an investigation at the federal government, which I hope they do, and they say, Rich, you knew about this and you never said anything about this. Now I become complicit in the cover-up. And I myself can face federal charges. The other thing that we risk is this grant that funds this program really is designed to safeguard Colorado agriculture. And Colorado agriculture is something that I am a strong supporter of and a strong proponent of. We have a global footprint in agriculture right here. I can tell you because I certify our crops for export. We go all over the world. And we put that in jeopardy when we don't say something. And that's what this comes down to.
When we defy and continue practices that are against federal law, we risk losing our federal grants. We risk losing our federal cooperation, especially if our crops here go international. Absolutely unacceptable. One last clip, and then I'll get to all the chat here. One last clip, and I'll get to all the chat. 17:30. Let's go like right here.
It is. And it is an intimidation tactic. And they want to make a public example out of me so that they can send a message not only to other state employees within different agencies across the state, but also to the people of Colorado that we are not going to tolerate people speaking out against this and going against our agenda. And so that just shows how Marxist what this agenda all really truly is about. And the only way that we fight back against this kind of stuff is to continue to shine the light on it and expose it and talk about it. I really appreciate your time this morning sharing this. I would love to see this become a national headline. I think the other way we fight back against this kind of stuff is going to take the federal government coming in, doing these investigations, and hauling these people out in handcuffs. Because until people see real consequences, the state of Colorado is going to continue to act the way they do and think that they are above the law.
Absolutely, and it ties into a larger initiative that's happening, and it not just in specific to what Rich is speaking on, but we're seeing a lot of eyes on Colorado, folks, whether it's the civil rights investigation into Colorado prisons, whether it's the lawsuit asking for unredacted voter data, and then now we're seeing an issue here right now with DEI practices being implemented in the state of Colorado, completely disregarding federal law. So there's multiple different angles that Colorado is being investigated. And Rich, absolutely, 100% agree with what Rich is saying, that if we don't see actual results, if we don't see actual people being arrested for their crimes on a federal level, if we don't see retaliation for defying federal law, the states and these people that are operating within these state institutions are going to continue doing it. And we have to show justice. We have to put the hammer down and stand up and make sure that these people defying federal law get the justice that they deserve. 100%. So cheers to Rich. Cheers to Rich speaking out against this practice in Colorado. Brandon Work's doing a great job. I will post this entire video, link to the entire video on my timeline. It's a 22-minute video, does a full breakdown, but this story is not going away, and we're going to continue talking about this. And what's happening in Colorado right now on many different fronts is pivotal to exposing this cultural Marxist creep that's happening in not just Colorado, but across the country, in these blue states, in these liberal enclaves. They continue to defy what it means to represent the federal government wishes, the federal government laws. These states are instituting unconstitutional and dangerous precedents against the people, defying us. So cheers to Rich Guggenheim doing great work. And we are, do I have anything else I need to show? I showed that. Yeah. But yes, we are going to get back to it. I got some chat. What do we got in the chat? Sick of Shitty Gov says, I'm starting to wonder if accelerating the collapse and rebuilding after would be more feasible strategy. It goes against what I believe, but holy shit, how do you change these cultist minds? Folks, I mean, that's the $1 million question, right? I mean, how do we effectively oust these cultural Marxists, these progressive ideology, the creep that's been instituted in all branches, all aspects, whether it's the judiciary, whether it's the executive, whether it's legislative, or whether it's just the PUC committees that are appointed by Polis or whatever else have you. There are so many institutionalized cultural Marxists and this progressive movement creeping in all aspects of our government. How do we actually fight back, and how do we gut and completely roto-rooter? We need a full cleanse. We need a nationwide, a statewide enema of these cultural Marxists. Absolutely. Fuck. Let's see here. If our state government cared about us, they wouldn't be telling us we can't use abundant natural gas. Exactly. They don't really care. They just want control. They don't really care. They just want control. We need more whistleblowers to step forward. Otherwise, our beautiful state is cooked. Yes. And if people are in these institutions and they do see violations and they do see these practices or malfeasance, step up. Say something. Be a part of the change. We have to be vocal about this. That's why I do this. That's why I speak out about this. That's why I report on what I can here in Colorado. And if you don't say something and if you don't speak out, I want to see everyone in the chat. I want to see everyone showing up to the next session, 2026 Congress session here in Colorado. We have to be aware, because they're going to keep pushing this Marxist creep through legislation, through appointments, through administration tactics. They do this in every way, shape, and form, and we have to be vocal about this. And Rich Guggenheim is doing a fantastic job with that. Yes. Jen Ferner, Tina Peters. So Jen, if you're still in the chat, you got to watch yesterday's live stream, because I went on I did an 1.5-hour live stream about Tina Peters and the whole situation happening with Tina Peters and the presidential pardon and everything happening on that light, and how it's fundamentally changing the landscape and re-administering how the government approaches presidential pardons and the authority of the president, especially when state law, state constitution, state judiciary denies federal evidence and denies federal law when they prosecute for state crimes. If Tina Peters was given her appropriate evidence admitted into her court case, she would not be in the position she is, because it would have been a federal case, and it would have and as an election county clerk on a federal election, she has that federal protection. And the fact that the state ignored that, the fact that Judge Barrett denied her evidence, 41 different evidence admissions in her court case, denied, that would have exonerated her. Yes, folks, there's massive precedent being set in Colorado. It's happening in real time right now. And I know a lot of people are going to, scoff and get upset because it's happening slow. But folks, government is designed to move slow. But if we are aware that the federal government is zoning in on Colorado, all targets, all eyes are on Colorado right now, and we got to be privy. We've got to keep our ear to the ground what's happening every single day in Colorado, because things are moving. Things are picking up. It's like a diesel engine, folks. The diesel engines, it takes a few minutes to get that diesel engine rolling, but once it's rolling, man, that federal government better put the hammer down. I swear to God, like if we don't see actual justice come out from the DOJ, if we don't see Pam Bondi get off her ass and stop sitting on her hands and actually get shit done here in Colorado, because Colorado is the battleground for globalist Agenda 2030 Marxism. This is the battleground here in Colorado right now. And if we don't speak up, if we don't stand up, if we don't shine light on this corruption activity that's happening in the judiciary, the executive branch, the legislation branch, with all of the union workers and all the teachers unions and all of this subcommittees and bad practices happening in every aspect of our government here in Colorado, if we don't call them out, they're going to continue pushing. We need arrests. We are the battleground. Absolutely. Let's fucking go, Salty Growers. Appreciate that. But folks, we are landing the plane, as I'll say it. We are landing the plane as I say it, because I've got to make some hot sauce, because guess what? The power is going to be out tomorrow, and I was planning on running some equipment in my kitchen to get some of this hot sauce going, but apparently I can't do that because they're turning off all of our power, right? Yes. Look at who owns our government. We are the World Economic Forum globalist battleground. We really are. And it's been that way since the early 2010s, arguably late 2000s. But this has all been part of the blueprint. This has all been part of the structured takeover of Colorado. And it's a two-pronged attack, because we've got weak and feckless and pathetic Republicans running a infighting agenda, running this bullshit narrative push and circular firing squad here in Colorado. We can't get shit done as Republicans. Meanwhile, the Democrat Party here in Colorado just keep trouncing in lockstep. And we have to stand up, and we have to take over and make our voices heard, and have real political fighters in the arena within the GOP, within the conservative movement here in Colorado. And I don't like addressing myself as a Republican, but folks, I can't participate in the leftist agenda. I don't participate in open borders. I don't participate in DEI. I don't participate in transing of children. I don't participate in 40-week full-term abortions. I don't participate in progressive taxes. I don't participate in any of that. I want limited government, maximum liberty. I want fiscal accountability. I want to slash and cut the bureaucracy and the bloat and corruption here in this state of Colorado. And the only way to do that is to join forces with the arguably weak and directionless GOP that's happening in Colorado right now. We haven't had real GOP leaders in a long time. So my efforts is to put all the GOP in track, in line, in direction towards a goal. What is our goal? What is our platform for 2026? Yeah. I want to, I would like to own a grow house myself, but I want to grow peppers. I want to build a business of growing peppers and herbs and locally sourced, organically grown vegetables within a greenhouse and work with farmers markets. I want to build community and I want to have upward mobility, but I can't do that because Colorado legislation is so anti small business. It's so difficult to get a small business loan and to follow all the legislation and never mind how much it costs. Never mind all of the red tape that you have to cut through to be a part of that community. It's insane. So yeah, there's a lot of bullshit happening here in Colorado, folks. But we're here on the front line and Break the Chains Media, doing the real work, getting involved. So with that being said, we are wrapping up. If you want to pick up a bottle of Realm Walker Hot Sauce, message me, DM me. I've got about 100 bottles in works right now. Realm Walker Hot Sauce, travel the 9 realms of Norse mythology through hot sauce. And get it for a Christmas gift. It might not be there for Christmas, but you can still pick one up and you can still give a late Christmas gift, you know? Exactly. It was almost 15 grand for licensing. And this is how is Governor Polis going to speak out one side of his mouth, said Colorado is a great place for small businesses to grow, when all I see are vacant buildings, empty lots, consolidation of power, monopolies, all this other shit. You can't, and it's literally anti-small business here in Colorado. It's disgusting. I can't stress it enough. It's horrible. Yeah, no, exactly. Couldn't even imagine what the type of shit would be for a dispensary. I used to do small scale growing myself, and that's kind of why I wanted to shift gears into produce. I wanted to do produce grow. I wanted to do herbs, microgreens, that whole aspect. But it's damn near impossible to. I mean, and now there's grow houses all vacant up and down the Front Range. But good luck trying to get a business loan to pick one up. It's insane. But folks, check me out on Break the Chains M if you want to follow me on Twitter. I post some pretty good stuff. I have some pretty good info, you know. And this is great here, right? Right? You can't. This is a beautiful photo. Okay. Beautiful. And got some other stuff here, but yeah, follow me on Break the Chains M on X, Break the Chains Media on Instagram. You can check me out. The website is breakthechains.media. Okay. And then you got the Chainsaw Caucus. If you are interested, $10 donation goes a long way for the Chainsaw Caucus. But folks, we are going to be wrapping up the live stream here, and I wanted to raid the one and only, the legend that is Owen Schroyer. We're gonna be raiding. Well, as long as he's actually hold on, let me make sure he's actually live. Yeah, he is actually live. Wanted to make sure he's actually available to be rated, but he is. We're looking good. Okay, can we record? Yeah, there we go. We're good. It's one day at a time, folks. One day at a time. So with that being said, folks, I think we might not have a live stream tomorrow because the power is going to be off. So with that being said, it is going to be interesting to see what unfolds. Yeah, got to give Owen some raids. Exactly. That's what we're doing here, folks. Tomorrow, stay safe. Make sure all your power, make sure all your devices are charged. Make sure you got storable water. Make sure you got access to amenities if you need certain electrical amenities. But it's going to be interesting. 500,000 people being without power tomorrow in Colorado, all because of a tyrannical power grid monopoly by Xcel Energy. But without further ado, folks, we are joining Owen Schroyer, the Owen Report. Folks, I appreciate you for joining Break the Chains. Make sure you share this video with all your friends and family. Break the Chains M on X. And without further ado, I love you, I appreciate you, and fight for freedom and never give up.